Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Roguish Gent Livecast. We are here at Offbeat Jackson, 151 Wesley Avenue, of course. Shout out to D for producing the show. We're having a very special show tonight, so if you would please share and like this video, we're going to open up a conversation about mental health and mental illness and building to Straughter as well as Fred Hall, and they're going to be talking about that. And we're going to, have a nice conversation. But before we do that, we're going to make sure you share this video and everything. We're going to sell a little bit of stuff from Offbeat. As you know, Offbeat is a art gallery and a record store. They showcase minority young artists and everything like that. And they have things like this. This is a black official action figure, a Marvel Select figure, deluxe action figure with diorama. Oh, diorama! I haven't done one of those since middle school, but yeah, I did a Telltale Heart one. Yeah, but everybody likes Black Panther. It's out on DVD now, so it's in your office, everything like that. Let's see. We also have the On God Jew shorts, the champion shorts. These aren't obviously not my size, but these got you branding right here, and the Offbeat branding on the back side, or whichever way you want to ride it. Where I remember we used to wear these during summer football practice, and also we're going to get into a couple of right here. Of course, we sell the vinyl. We have right here Jason Daniels. He's a local artist here. This is his first album here that he released on vinyl. This is Dashboard Visions and Rearview Reflection. Shout out to Jason. We're actually really great music. And if you need a record player, you can actually get it from Offbeat as well. We have a Pinata classic. Yeah. We Mad Lib Project, Pinata. If you haven't listened to this, you probably don't listen to rap, or you probably just started listening to rap in like the past 5 years. But really great album. Yeah, it was great. Can't wait for the new album. And we have Jay Dilla, The Shining, and we're highlighting Jay Dilla today because I was on Twitter recently, and it was a girl. My favorite producer, and he's not like not a he's not a What did she say? Yeah, people have mentioned other producers, like obscure producers, like never in your life, and so Jay Dilla that way by calling him obscure. But yeah, so we got that there, and also we have the Scott Pilgrim versus the World soundtrack. This is here because we're going to announce a couple of things. And yeah, pretty good soundtrack if you like a lot of popular music. Really great movie. Should have done better. I enjoyed it though. So yeah. So all right, what we're going to do? We are going to take a break. We are going to bring on Tayla Straughter. We're going to bring on Fred Hall. We're going to run a couple of commercials and just make sure you stay tuned. Roguish Gent Livecast.
Do you have a special event coming up? Want to promote your special event, occasion, or announcement more efficiently? Tired of wasting money on flyers that people just throw on the ground and you're left with extra? Well, say no more. We here at Digital Imprint Solutions have a solution to make advertising for your next event easy and less stressful. Our in-business display screens are guaranteed to get your message out to patrons while they are shopping, getting groomed, or just relaxing. High-quality displays and easy visibility make this possible to do, and it's now available to you at an affordable cost in multiple locations. The process is easy. Just log on to our website, fill out the form, and update with your payment information, and your special event will be rolled out within a few hours of approval. So try something different. Go digital. Visit our website and begin saving money on promotions today. www.digimprintSolutions.com.
I'm the man responsible for the goal.
Whole thing blowed up, no luck, all us probably. Whole state know us, show love, favorites probably. Most days over, ain't on no buzz probably. Whole play ate up, fat bruh, they love probably. Probably. Hungry for that realness, you can feel it in your body. Probably. Journey through forever, man, it's all a party answer.
Oh man, I feel alive. Blessings come in disguise, right in front of my eyes. I've been chasing it for a while. I've been blending in with the crowd. Man, that just ain't my style. I've been walking around with my head down, trying to figure it out.
Hey, and welcome back to another around. Shout out to 242 Creative. That is, of course, the content creation company that I founded with Terrence Wells and Curtis McAfee. Shout out to Digital Imprints, one of the sponsors on the show. Any kind of media, marketing, or anything like that, you can contact Digital Imprints, and we will have their contact information on the video as well. All right, so let's get into it. Tonight we have two very special guests. With me from a good friend, and I was like, yeah, let's bring them on, and I was like, hey, can you give us their titles because we got to get the lower thirds ready and everything, and he was like, yeah, alphabet. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is legit right here. So what we're gonna do, we always allow our guests to introduce themselves and everything. So if you would.
Okay. Good evening. A licensed professional counselor here in the city of Jackson. I am also a national certified counselor, and I have my doctoral degree in professional counseling.
Okay.
So that's all my alphabet.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
I am Fred Hall, and I am a professional counselor as well. I do leadership in consulting and coaching and business coaching, and I have my doctorate in counseling psychology.
Okay, great. Got them on.
Doctors are us.
We're talking about mental health issues, and not necessarily in the Black community, I would say, because that's the first thing I want to kind of get into. I do know that there is a stigma about mental health and mental health issues in the Black community, but I sort of feel like at times we take it on. What are some opinions on that about y'all? Or what are some of the opinions y'all have about that?
I think there's stigma throughout the community, period, not just in the African American community, but as a whole. There's a stigma with mental health. We go to the doctor when our heart hurts. We go to the doctor when we break our arm. But there's this thing about when your mind breaks down, there's something wrong with you. So I think there is a big stigma. A clip on Facebook today where this particular minister was talking about it's okay to love Jesus and get a therapist. You can do both of them. So I think sometimes people feel as if you're going to get help or professional. There's something wrong with it.
A lot of times people probably don't fully understand what when we say mental health. Mental health is the same as any other kind of health, emotional, physical health. When you're talking about mental health, you're talking about how your mind works at its optimal um, pace and how your behavior is in congruence to that. And so that's interact with mental health every day. You see bad mental health, and we see it on TV or you hear about it. And sometimes that is a mental illness. There's a difference between mental illness, and you see that every day. When you have stress in your marital relationship, that is a component of mental health. When you see people who don't do well and excel in school, or their logical problems at school, that is mental health. So mental health is much bigger than we make it to be, but we have sectioned off a little piece of that, and we make it seem that it is an illness, and that is not true. All of us have health,
Right.
and we all have mental health. Do we have good health or not would be the question.
So, how did y'all decide that this is what? Okay.
I started out as a speech therapist years ago when I was at Jackson State. That's what my parents paid for me to go to school for. And after I didn't get in graduate school, one of my best friends was like, hey, there's a program, let's go back. They're paying stipends, and it was in rehabilitation counseling. And so that's kind of how I got started and continuing to work my craft. And finally, it was like, I want to get licensed, because if you're going to do it, be the best at what you do. So I wanted to become licensed, and I went back to another program so I could become licensed. And in that, I started the doctoral program at Mississippi College, where I met Doc. And just been pushed and stretched ever since.
Okay, so y'all been friends for years.
It's been about, what, 5?
Yeah,
it's been 5 years now.
almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years.
This was my student.
Yeah, I started out as a student.
Wow.
She was my student.
Yes, I started out as a student, and when I first met Doc, I was like, it's something about him I like. He has something I need. So I asked if I could be one of his mentees. And at first, it didn't kind of work out because of scheduling issues. And then something came up, and finally we were able to sit down and become mentees. And now, not just a mentor, but I think he also sponsors me, because he pushes me out and into things. Okay, I think you need to try and do this, and I think you need to work on that. Go and do this. So not only is he mentoring me, but he's sponsoring me by putting his neck out on the line for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I love what Tayla does, and I love what this profession does. It's a little bit different because you have to get down with people. You can't stand up and be an effective, really good counselor. You really have to get where people are. And I think God gives us a special ability to go behind the scenes. You have to know a lot of things about a lot of people. That looks a little bit different in a smaller town, or in a town which is not that big, such as Jackson. So what you do is you sit down with people, you hear their stories, you walk with them, and you try to lead them out. If there's anything I think that I do, and I think I do well, is I hold people's stuff in the highest regard. Part of that includes a challenge. I love you enough not to leave you there. Yeah, but I gotta walk softly with you, and I gotta walk a long way with you, till you get out of whatever it is. Whatever your goal is what I'm there to do. Sometimes people need to facilitate that, and I think that's what I do.
Okay. All right, so we got the everything out the way, the introductions and all of that. So the stigma on mental health and mental illness, where do you believe, you have like a theory on where that comes from, or why people are so adamant about, keeping things like this secret or keeping things like this hidden?
I think there are lots of on the ground level theory. There's a lot of book theories. My personal belief is the environment, the social environment, plays a lot in that. Kind of how you see people, some people show up, you're in the bank line with somebody and they're going off. To me, that is an indicator that their internal resources are just about used up. Kind of want to get back. You don't want to stand by them too long because they've used up all of the resources that they have. So I think sometimes that is a genetic predisposition. I think a lot of times it is the social ecology of where people are. Life is hard. And you don't know how to deal with hardness. The only way you know how to deal with hardness is to take a drink or to smoke weed or reefer, which is another component of mental health. Or you know how to cuss, or you know how to have sex. And if sex makes you feel good, you have more sex and more sex and more sex, and there is no cutoff. So that pleasure principle in your mind and in your experience, it never turns off. And so it morphs into a disorder. And so all you see is people walking around with lots of different kinds of things that they can't handle. And so they end up showing up in the church choir. They end up showing up in the bank line. They end up showing up on the job. And so I think in society, we're seeing a lot of that now. People don't have the resources to know how to manage life anymore. And so they do what they know to do. Sometimes that's shooting. Sometimes that's suicide, sometimes that's drinking, sometimes that's internalizing it, and they just walk around being a wallflower. And so we assume that being quiet means that they're healthy. That does not mean that at all. It means that you haven't tapped into what's going on with that person. Those are the people you really need to be aware of.
That's good.
Oh, okay. So, and we are going to touch on suicide, but one thing I want to kind of get into is depression and anxiety, and how a lot of people, they experience these things, and some people don't know exactly what they are once they, when they feel them, and they can go years without actually knowing. What is depression actually classified as? Like, what's the actual definition of depression?
Are you talking, well, in the DS?
Because I know you have like clinical, like, is it on the spectrum?
Yes.
Okay, so it's on the spectrum. So what is the depression spectrum?
You can have major depressive disorder, and you can also have what we call, and I don't know why the thought just ran down Wesley Avenue. Help me, Doc.
Yeah. You can have a dysthymia, which is what we might call, you just feel bad, or a low-grade depression, kind of a yuckiness, which is kind of characteristic of who you are. Everything on that continuum all the way up to a full depressive episode that may last. You may have multiple episodes, or you may have one episode. But depression, the criteria for that is really a disruption in your mood in a depressed or down state. Anything that you used to like, you don't like. Anything that seems to be working that is not working. For instance, you like sex, you don't like sex. You like eating, you don't like eating. You put on more weight, you lose weight. You like to sleep, you don't like to sleep. You used to like to go places, you don't like to go places. Again, that would be the first thing I would start thinking about if someone said that to me. I just don't enjoy things anymore. My first indicator would be, is this anywhere on that depression continuum? Yeah. Because people don't know, they don't call it that. We all feel down. Depression is normal.
Right.
It is a coping mechanism that your body has to kind of regulate the highs and the lows. The problem is if you get stuck in a low and you can't come out, and your body, your chemistry won't regulate it, then that's a clinical syndrome. I have been depressed. Everybody I think has had some depression, but when you slip into I can't get out of this. And is this one of you say, God, get me out? Or is this one you go to the doctor? And you got to know which one is which.
That's good.
Yeah, because a lot of people, you know, feel certain ways, and like we were saying before, you know, they internalize it and they keep it to themselves. And it's really something that, you know, you can just like be honest about, because it's something like we all go through and we all have and everything like that. So we so depression is on the spectrum, is so like bipolar disorder. And you know, you might see people saying I'm bipolar, and you know
they're not.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
I've seen
They don't want to be.
Yeah,
you would know if you were.
I'll never forget. I saw a woman. She had a tag, and it was like Miss Bipolar.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't think you.
Wow.
Yeah. But and if she's ever watching this, like, you know, you had that tag.
Hi.
So explain to people what bipolar disorder would be, because I think we have kind of the wrong idea about it from like media and just, you know, just not having a actual knowledge about it. So what exactly what bipolar
disorder is having those highs and lows as well, and sometimes you can be manic within that where you take on all these projects, you start stuff and you stop, whether it's then you can go through this really, really high, where you just like the Energizer Bunny in a sense.
Yeah.
And then you can come down on this low where you can just barely make it out of bed. So there's like this, it's almost like you're two different people in a sense, and within that disorder. So you can be depressed while you're having a bipolar episode, or you can also be manic where you're constantly going.
Or you can have one or the other, or you can have both. And
right.
The key is you can't regulate it.
Exactly.
Right. So you may go for 3-4 days without sleeping, and you may go shop, and you may say, I want to go to Las Vegas. You just jump in the car and drive to Las Vegas. And then by the time you get to Las Vegas, the mania phase of that wears off, and you hit a depression, and you have to stay in Las Vegas for a week or two because you can't get out of bed.
Can't afford to give
So it really is the inability to come out of any of those polarities. So you have isolated yourself into either one of the poles is what it is. There's the depressed pole and there's the mania pole. And sometimes when they take medication, the medication is to bring up the depression and to bring down the mania so that they'll level off. It is not magic, but what it is a leveling. It is a stabilization. So whatever issue, social thing that was there in the beginning, it will still be there. So now you're ready for therapy or some kind of counseling or some kind of intervention to deal with the issues. All medication is supposed to do is to take the highs and lows and level them out so you can think clearly to make good decisions.
Exactly. And the work comes in the therapy and the counseling.
Yeah, now you're ready to work.
Okay.
You're ready to work.
So with therapy, I think a lot of people want therapy and they seek it. What's the first step for someone who has no idea, where they say, I feel this way, I know I need help, but I don't know what to do? What's the first step for them to go get therapy or something?
I would say just me personally, just having a good group of friends who can recognize that something is not right about that person. That's just me in my thought process. Or, you know, it's almost, and I've used this analogy before, if my slip is hanging, I want my girlfriend to tell me my slip is hanging. So the same thing, if she notices something is off with me, then she may suggest, hey, I think you might need to go talk to somebody. And I think we just need to be honest about some of the things that we see that go on with our friends, because we're usually friends or family, because we're usually the ones that are with them. So if I can't recognize it myself, then maybe somebody else can help me recognize and refer me over to somebody, and not just say, hey, but let's walk me through that process if I need that type of help.
One of the things Tayla does so well, she talks about pouring from an empty cup as one of the things she talks about. For us as therapists, for anybody, but for people who are in need of some kind of counseling, help, or whatever it is, they're pouring out so much, but at some point it runs out.
Right.
You need to be able to recognize when you've run out of stuff to pour, because your activity is pretty much over at that point. So you got to be able to get filled up. Sometimes you need someone to come and help you fill up, which is what a counselor can do. They can look at some of the lifestyle issues you have. They can look at some of the challenges, some of the barriers. They can create solutions. They can take you out of a black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, and show you all these middle parts where you can live and function and operate at your fullest potential. But they don't know that. One of the first things I say to people is, this is not magic. We're having a conversation. I know as a therapist, there's a structure to it. I know as a therapist, my intent is to fall in a place where you are so that I can help you. But taking the spookiness, the magic out of it and say, here's a pointed conversation where I'm trying to facilitate your growth and your greatest potential. How can I do that? That could be talking, that could be group, that could be exercises, that could be activities, that could be sheets, worksheets, that could be doing homework assignments. So it is not magic. And if you can demystify it for people, they're more likely to want to get it and to stay with it. Some people come, they don't stay. They don't stay. There's a financial cost that people don't like. The way I answer that is, if you had cancer of the emotion or cancer of your mentality, you would spend whatever it took to get that taken care of. There's an investment that you always have to make. We go and we need a new car, we make the investment. We say, I can't really afford a $800 a month car payment. I can afford a $400 or whatever it is you can afford. But you start trying to figure out how to do it. It should be the same way with your health. In all aspects of your health, you make the investment so you can get the return on your investment. So you show up differently when you go back into all the places that you function.
Great. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with some questions that we received. We're going to talk about a couple of topics that's been in the news recently, everybody's seen and everything. Before we go, though, we're going to play a little bit of music from a friend of the show. His name is Dollar Black. He's been on the show a couple of times. Well, no, he's been on. I've done the audio podcast with him twice, and we did the live cast once. He has a new single out called Money, featuring Fred Nice. He is also releasing a project, I think that's July the 15th, I believe, through Universal. And this is called Money. This is a lyric video for it. Stay tuned. Roguish Gent Livecast.
2050s, I just want the money. Who they coming? Got it. All these niggas get the running. 20s, 50s, 100. I just want the money. Laughing to the bank. Hey, get it funny. 20s, 50s, 100s. I just want the money. Who they coming? Got it. All these niggas get the money. Get the running. 20s, 50s, 100s. I just want some money. Laughing to the bank. All that hate get funny. 20s, 50s, 100s. I just want the money. Who they coming? Got it. All these niggas get the money. Get the running. 20s, 50s, 100s. I just want some money. Laughing to the bank. All that hate get funny.
I'm under the bag, ain't worried about niggas talking. Count 20, 50s, 100s off and trying to talk the work. You gotta mention me if you ain't talking money, homie. You done lost me. Gotta run it up until it's running over. I'm like Cam Newton to the bank. Gotta be Andre or Kanye with the moves, nigga. Give a damn what you think. Got rank, count cash, get cash. Double that, better nigga, make it look easy. One plan, touchdown, open up shop. Early morning with the birds, gotta get it weekly. And the kids go crazy when they see me. Believe me, they gon' love when I ball. And the only niggas hating on the kid. Hands out and waiting on the kid. Got a grind for everything I need. All I ever wanted was a stack. Get the stack, turn it to a meal. Celebrate and go and double that. I can't tell if I just love the chase. Either way, I swear I want it all. She said black is either me or it, so I said
I just want the money. 20s, 50s, 100s. I just want some money. Who they coming? Got it. All these niggas get the money. Get the running. 20s, 50s, 100s. I just want some money. Laughing to the bank.
Want to promote your special event, occasion, or announcement more efficiently? Tired of wasting money on flyers that people just throw on the ground and you're left with extra? Well, say no more. We here at Digital Imprint Solutions have a solution to make advertising for your next event easy and less stressful. Our in-business display screens are guaranteed to get your message out to patrons while they are shopping, getting groomed, or just relaxing. High-quality displays and easy visibility make this possible to do, and it's now available to you at an affordable cost in multiple locations. The process is easy. Just log on to our website, fill out the form, and update with your payment information, and your special event will be rolled out within a few hours of approval. So try something different. Go digital. Visit our website and begin saving money on promotions today. www.digiimprintsolutions.com.
And we're on.
Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Roguish Gent Livecast. I have Dr. Tayla Straughter with me, and I also have Dr. Fred Hall. We've just been talking about mental health, trying to release some of the stigmas. We just want to have a conversation, and we just, I feel like this was a really important episode, especially being somewhere like Mississippi, where and the world deals with mental illness and mental health, and like Dr. Hall explained, but Mississippi, especially with the government cutting back on mental health and everything like that, it seems like a really important topic to talk about here at home, and I care about my home.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, one thing we're going to get into, so if you watch the news or anything like that, you've already heard about the suicides of fashion designer Kate Spade and celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain. Kate Spade, she was 55. Left a note and everything like that happened. Anthony Bourdain, they haven't released any details, I don't think, yet, but he was found unresponsive while he was in Paris. He actually did an episode of Parts Unknown, that was a television show in Mississippi, and he was literally a street over at a place called Soul Wire Cafe. And I remember during that, we heard a rumor, me and a friend named Angela, we heard a rumor that he was going to be here, so we went out to Soul Wire. We didn't get to see him, but we saw the production trucks and everything, and we're like, you can see us in the back, like, cause she's like 6 foot tall, and I'm like 6'3", 6'4", and you can see us in the back just like bobbing while High Infamous is rapping. But so things like suicide and it's a touchy issue, it's a touchy subject, because it's such a serious thing. When someone says something like suicidal thoughts, because are there different like degrees of that? Because I think I've had thoughts of like, hey, what if I die right now? Like, what will my family think or anything like that? Not necessarily like, hey, if I take these pills, or hey, if I take this gun and I did this, but like, if I were to die right now, what would happen? Like, are there different degrees of like suicidal thoughts or anything like that?
Yes, what you're thinking to me is not a suicidal thought. It's just because I think about death. What would happen?
I'm very morbid.
Right. So what would happen if I die
you gotta
today?
be careful
Who's
with
gonna
that.
take over, who's going to take care of my children? Do I have enough resources in places? Suicidal ideations, and when a person has a plan, is something totally different.
Yeah.
That I'm taking the steps to complete the suicide. So yes, those are two different thought processes.
They are two different thoughts. You can tell the difference, which is really intent, if there's any intent with any of that. Because you can say, I'm thinking about death. There's this, it's a buzzword now. Suicide is a buzzword. Right. The problem is when there is intent built into it. I'm thinking about suicide and I secretly wonder what it's like, or I wish I were dead. I don't have the strength to kill myself, but I wish I were dead. Then that changes the whole picture. For the people who try or who complete a suicide, to me, there is a lot of things going on with the person that for whatever reason they have not been able to share or get the kind of help that they need. I don't know all the details of Kate Spade or Anthony Bourdain, but what I do know is there's a lot of hurt or issues or confusion. And again, it is that running out of the internal resources. Because people have problems every day, but you have the resources, even if it's the grit, the resilience to keep going. The problem is when your grit leaves, your resilience leaves, your I'm tired, what's the point? We say a few more adjectives. But when you get to that point, it's just a matter of time. As you let that thought go, then another thought comes in. And if you can't combat that thought, it really, the clock is ticking. And I would take a stab at that's probably what happened in those two celebrities' eyes. They just didn't have the resources to manage it anymore.
Yeah, because, you know, a lot of people saying, like, you know, two very wealthy, very famous people just decided to, you know, and, you know, we don't know if it's at a whim or if they've been thinking about it for years, but just finally decided to say, hey, I'm finished. You know, it's just like, man. Like,
but that also goes to show you, Melvin, that money doesn't protect you, nor does me being the strong person or the strong friend. I still need somebody to check in on me as well. So.
One of the questions we received today was about suicide, and the question they posed was, why do some people who might be talking to someone who is suicidal, why is there this feeling that if you remind them how much people are counting on them or how much like people rely on them, why do a lot of people find that as a way to kind of convince someone not to commit suicide or something like that?
I don't think that's a smart idea. Again, people are doing what they think is helpful. People who say, pray about it, baby, they're doing what they think is helpful. And so people who say, you can't die because you have a daughter that depends on what are you going to do to your kids? And although that is true, and what will God say about that? All of that is true. But guilt and shame never helped anybody get better. And it won't in this instance either. It is the same thing as saying you shouldn't sleep around and not use condoms because you're going to get pregnant one day or you're going to get an STD. So the problem with that is what happens when you sleep around and you don't get an STD. It lowers your threshold, and that intensity, oh, something bad is going to happen, is removed because I've been doing it all this time and nothing happened. It is the same thing with suicide. When you keep stretching that out and people say, oh, I made it through that, or that's not so bad, or I don't feel as bad as I thought, I'm not as afraid as I thought, they'll be okay. Grandma will take care of them. For the most part, they're in a place where I really can't think about all of that. I am totally absorbed in the chaos that I'm living in. Even if it's a rich chaos, it's a celebrity chaos. Everybody follows me. I can't even go to the Walmart by myself because there's someone around. I just want it to stop. So I need to think a little bit about who's going to take care of the children, how this is going to hurt my wife, my husband. But for the most part, you're not at your best self, your rational self. So you can't make those determinations. And all of that, think about that. That won't help you. That's guilt and shame.
So I was a 911 dispatcher for 3 years in Jackson for JPD. And one thing that I was really surprised with, because I've never been naive about, like, you know, suicide or anything like that, but I just really didn't recognize how many people committed suicide. And, you know, when I got there, you know, it was a time when, you know, it would be a month and we've had like 5 suicide calls. And it just kind of opened my eyes to how many people were dealing with this kind of thing, where they would really commit to something that's like a final solution.
And that's the ones you got to call for.
Right.
Yeah.
The hundreds that you never got called for,
Yeah.
that who are struggling at home and just say one more day,
Right.
just waiting for a time to get enough guts to do whatever it is they think they need to do. People are living in pain every day. And I think that is the biggest thing we can say to people. You don't have to suffer in silence.
Right.
You don't have to. Open that conversation up. Take a risk and let somebody into your world. Perhaps you got to shop a little bit to find the right kind of person who can help you. But you got to be able to trust somebody, even if it's somebody you have to pay to trust them.
And not only that, but I think our everyday conversations should change. So people will feel comfortable enough to seek out help, whether it's I'm coming to Melvin, I'm going to Dr. Hall, or I need to just talk to somebody, and they can, push you into the professional setting that you need to be in. But I think just our conversations with our friends need to, some of that dialogue needs to change as well.
Yeah.
With certain words and phrases and things that we use.
Yeah.
And one other thing I did want to kind of ask about was PTSD. We have people suffering from PTSD and everything like that. And I think another thing that we've kind of gotten accustomed to is like associating PTSD with like military service or things like that. But there's people with post-traumatic stress syndrome from just everyday life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And post-traumatic stress syndrome is on the spectrum as well,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Can you like explain some of that to people? Or?
PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, the continuum is everything from it bothers you to you're starting to have dreams, moving all the way down to having ruminations, having this trigger response, having a behavioral activated response, can't sleep, fighting with people, fighting with yourself, being reclusive, don't know how to manage the emotions or the thoughts that come to you. Everything from a little bit to a lot. The issue is, you're right, it doesn't necessarily have to be from military or fighting overseas, although that is horrible, and people in the military, both men and women, need specific kinds of resources for them. Post-traumatic stress disorder or any kind of trauma, hurricane, people who lived through Hurricane Katrina, they had traumatic stress. Did they get help? A great portion of them did not, which is why we were sending out teams left and right. Again, so we bounce back into, did they get the help that they really needed? Tornadoes, your home gets burned down. You lost a child. So, maybe if you lost a child in a tragic way, part of that is grief and bereavement. The other part of that is trauma. And so you got to be able to address what you see the client operating in. If there's trauma there, and you always assess for trauma, you always assess for suicide with almost every client you have, because you don't know the story behind that. They present one way, but there may be things in their past. What happened to them, who molested them when they were a child, and that stuff is operating in the background. All you know is you see a woman, you see a man, and you assume that they're 30, 40 years old and they're well adjusted. That is not necessarily the case. All that trauma is swimming around in their experience, and you got to be able to step into that and start to open it up and give them the kinds of resources that they need to address their own traumatic responses.
What do y'all think about people who diagnose celebrities? And we can say Kanye, we can say Donald Trump.
I think it's reckless. I honestly think it's reckless because that plays into the stigma that is out there when it comes to mental illness. I'm sure we all could take a guess at what's going on with Kanye or with Donald Trump, but if you don't know, if you hadn't had that one-on-one conversation and you can't really tell, what's going on. But I think that, again, plays into the stigma that's out there about mental illness.
Why is the state so intent on curbing so much money away from mental health? And if y'all can like speak about it, or like y'all got any opinions on that?
I think the state is curbing away from a lot of things that we need. I don't know if it's just not understanding the importance of having funds to. Let me say it like this. I think we want to do a lot with a little, and it's almost like we're squeezing the last breath out of that penny. And I don't know if it's not just understanding mental illness and the importance of allowing money to be funneled down through the Department of Mental Health to get the necessary help that people need in the communities, because it takes money for everything, and we know that. So I'm not sure. That's just me.
I think they understand. I do.
Okay.
I think they do understand. Your way or my way is the issue.
Okay.
I think you have a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of systems that get in the way of people who need services. There's a lot of political agenda and money being funneled somewhere.
Okay.
But I think they understand it. There are a lot of things at a lot of levels that prevent them from issuing money.
Okay.
Some of that has to do with whose hand you're shaking. Some of that has to do with some of the federal mandates that have to happen. So again, if at the local level, the state level, we want to address mental illness and mental health, but we have national standards, and it's all going toward a specific direction, especially toward immigrants and minorities.
Right.
Then the state can't help but to comply, because the little bit of money that they do have will get cut if they don't have federal buy-in. And so it is 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But what happens is the local average person doesn't get service. And they have to go to the emergency room, they have to go to the jail cell to get any kind of treatment. And so then that creates a whole nother problem.
That's good.
All this backlog of people who need service that can't get it.
And you bring up, that brings, I was just thinking about, even with the opioid crisis now.
Yeah.
That is a good point. There's money.
Yeah, because when it was just crack.
I know. Like, it is morphed into a whole nother.
Right. So I get it. So it does depend on where the money is earmarked and what is considered important. So that does make sense.
My whole career, I've heard people taking opioids and taking oxycodone and hydrocodone for years. And it was, okay. And now you can't even spell oxycodone without somebody getting all alerted now. Yeah. And there's a seminar, a symposium, federal money. There's a training in everybody's neighborhood. Because that's what is hot. That's where the money is right now. Yeah. But the on-the-ground person who is suffering, there's not a lot of money in that right now.
All right. So, we can talk about this for hours, but we only have an hour. Thank y'all for coming up. Just tell the people how they can reach you if they're interested in anything, if they have any questions, just how can they reach you out?
My number to my office is 601-952-0515, extension 4, or you can email me at TALYASTRAUGHTERCOUNSELING.
That's a lot.
At gmail.com. So Tayla Straughter Counseling at gmail.com. I just wanted to make sure they spelled my name right.
I know, right?
I don't even know how to follow that. Let's see. You can get me at 601-209-5405. 601-209-5405, or Dr. Fred 101 at outlook.com. Dr. Fred 101 at outlook.com.
And I also wanted to leave the suicide number here because the Department of Mental Health has a suicide hotline. So I wanted to leave that number as well, and it's 1-800-273-8255. So that's a 24/7.
24 hours. It's free.
Yes, free.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank y'all for coming on.
Thank you
for having us.
I am so excited. I would like to have y'all on again.
Please.
You know, just so we could talk about, mental health, and we could just be real about it.
Yes.
Nothing to be ashamed about.
Exactly.
You know, like I eat McRibs. You know, I'm not ashamed to say that I eat McRibs. But yeah. All joking aside, I really am glad we could have this conversation.
Thank you for having the conversation.
Thank you.
And what we're going to do before we go, we're going to update you with some things that's going on in the city, some things that I'm a part of. First of all, Offbeats. We're going to say it's monthly. Yeah, monthly or every couple of months. Jiu-Jitsu.
It's monthly.
Yeah, it's monthly. Okay. So the Jiu-Jitsu series, June 23rd. That's where we have producers coming in. They play beats, they play music, and we also stream anime. This month we're doing Ninja Scroll. It's June the 23rd. Oh man, I thought I was gonna say Scroll. I was so scared. But June 23rd, doors open at 9 p.m. Just a $5 cover. Just come and chill out. That's what we do. Also on June the 15th, I am hosting along with Portia Cooper. We're hosting the Juneteenth Freedom Gala at the Smith Robinson Museum. I got a tuxedo.
Wow.
I got a top hat. I got a cane.
Wow.
I'm like rich Uncle Pennybags with black. Shout out to them for allowing us to host a gala there. It's going to be nice. Doors. It starts at 7. You can buy tickets off of. You can actually go to that page and you can buy tickets off of Eventbrite. Yeah, there you go. You can buy tickets off of Eventbrite. Also, Caleb Movie Night is this Wednesday at Offbeat. So Caleb, he's a member of the street team, younger guy. He's in college. He came back down for the summer. Bunch of movies he's never seen. We're going to show him at Offbeat.
Okay.
So this Wednesday, they're going to show Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It came out like around 10 years ago.
No, you've never seen that.
Oh yeah. Caleb has never seen Scott. Caleb's like 20 and has never seen Scott Pilgrim, which is like I can understand if he was like 40.
Okay, because I've never seen it.
No, yeah, it's totally fine. But like Caleb's like, oh, you've never seen this, and he's never seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's why we had the Scott Pilgrim versus the World soundtrack right there. And so Wednesday, 7 p.m. at Offbeat, we got that. Also, June 21st. I am hosting an event. Yeah, I didn't give you the graphic for it. With Garrett Lee at the Mississippi Museum of Art. It's we're going to be hosting a podcast there. We're going to be talking about fabric and cotton, and we're going to be talking about how cotton and cotton T-shirts were used as political statements and everything like that. You're DJing it, right?
Yeah, I'm DJing.
DJ Venom is DJing it. DJ Young Venom is DJing it, and also June the 24th. I should just go ahead and announce it.
23rd. It's the 23rd.
No, my day is the 24th.
Oh, it's on Sunday?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. So June the 24th, big announcement. We're doing Comic-Con again. I have a panel at Comic-Con. June 24th, 4 p.m. in the main hall. They put me in the big room. They put me in the big room, big time.
Did they approve your name?
They approved the name. So this is the thing. So it's me, DJ Venom, Ken Patterson. He is an illustrator here. Bianca, she is a black nerd, and we have Nastasia. She is a Twitch affiliate. And the name of the panel, they approved this.
Let me brace myself.
Oh, here we go.
Because it was the first panel we had the first year was the Revenge of the Blurs.
Okay.
Like Black Nerd. So this is the Revenge of the Blurs Part 2, The Secret of the Jews. Now listen. Jew is the on God Jew thing, for everything.
Okay, I know
yeah,
that.
and we just, bit off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that movie. But
wow.
4 p.m. Make sure you come out. We're trying to pack it out. I'm trying to get 200 people there. So if y'all come, just come and chill out with your boy. We're gonna talk about online gaming while black, and we're gonna talk about YouTube. All of this is talking about black nerding.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna do that. All right, so. We got to wrap up. My producer telling me we got to wrap it up. This has been another episode of the Roguish Gent Livecast. Thank y'all for watching. My name is Melvin Robinson, but you can follow me on all social media at Thecka Jones, THECA-JONES, huh?
Catch us every Monday.
Oh, catch us every Monday at 7 p.m. on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, anything that you can watch or stream on, we're on there. And make sure you share this video. Make sure you like this video. Thank you for Dr. Straughter coming in. Thank you for Dr. Howell coming in.
Yay.
And make sure you catch us next Monday. See you later.
Thank you.